Chapter 41 Chaofeng Tower. You are listening at Audio. The heavy evil spirit was surging, and Qin Jiang's body couldn't stop shaking. He tried his best to control his body's instinctive impulse to destroy everything in front of him. Swish. He couldn't help but tear his clothes to pieces, revealing the knotted muscles underneath. He stood up and stepped down suddenly. The terrifying force made the whole house tremble, and directly stepped out a deep pit on the ground. The crack spread around the deep pit, the fierce evil spirit suddenly erupted, dissipating like a black and red waterfall. Qin Jiang bent his body slightly and opened his mouth, and the hot stream exhaled from his mouth. After a while, he took a breath, and the surrounding evil spirit was taken back, and the environment returned to normal. He twisted his neck and breathed a sigh of relief. The evil spirit of the second level of the red tiger fist was so heavy. He couldn't control it just now. Knock, knock. Master, are you okay? The voice of the servant sounded outside the door. Qin Jiang raised his eyebrows, walked over and opened the door. His strong and muscular body made the servant stunned. At this moment, he was more than 1.9 meters tall, and his strong arms were thicker than the servant's thighs. It's okay, I'm practicing martial arts. I'll find someone to fill the hole on the ground tomorrow. He said. The servant stretched his neck and looked into the house through the gap between Qin Jiang's waist, vaguely seeing a hole. Swallowing his saliva, he lowered his body slightly. I know, master. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. At this moment, he didn't want to stay here for a moment. Master Qin gave him too much pressure. Moreover, when facing Master Qin, he didn't know why, he had an indescribable fear. Okay, go. Qin Jiang smiled. Seeing Qin Jiang smile, the servant trembled and fled quickly without saying a word. Looking at the servant's figure leaving, he didn't even close the wooden door of the yard in a panic. He touched his chin and walked to the bronze mirror to look at it. There was no difference from before, except that he was stronger. Was it the influence of the tiger evil intention? Looking at the panel. Current martial arts, Eternal 5 Qigong, second level, 210/400. Iron Arm Fist, Perfect, Earth Dragon Body, second level, 160/300, Red Tiger Fist, second level, 10/900. Potential points, 11.7. The changes brought about by the improvement of Red Tiger Fist far exceeded his expectations. Not only did his strength increase greatly, but it also led to the improvement of the Eternal 5 Qigong and Earth Dragon Body. His eyes fell on the potential points. There were still 11.7 left, enough for the Red Tiger Fist to break through to the third level. However, he seemed to be unable to control the evil spirit in his body. After thinking about it, he decided to wait for 2 days before adding some more. He didn't like the feeling of being dominated by the evil spirit. 3 days later, in the Chaofeng residential area, Anshin Villa, Qin Jiang pushed open the door and came to the yard. On the left was a small pool with a small rockery inside. On the right was a pavilion and a corridor with vines hanging for people to cool off in the summer. He walked to the center of the yard and casually performed the Red Tiger Fist, like a vigorous tiger. After a while, there was a sound of footsteps from outside the yard, and he immediately stood up and finished his moves. Knock, knock. Boss, I got what you wanted. A simple and honest voice came from outside the door. Come in. The door of the yard opened, and a young and strong figure walked in with a book in his hand. Qin Jiang looked at the person who came. This was one of the 2 small leaders assigned to him after he took over as the big leader. His name was Mengen, and he had practiced the red sand palm to the second level. Boss, the book you wanted. Qin Jiang took the book and waved his hand, indicating that he should sit down in the pavilion. After sitting down, he picked up the booklet and flipped through it. The first page was a simple drawing, which was painted with just a few strokes. Look at the information below. Li Songjing, who practiced the high-level Zhenwu Sky Eagle Claw, is said to have practiced the second level. His strength is so strong that he is ranked among the top 20 in Heishan City. Top 20. Qin Jiang thought that there seemed to be less than 30 people who practiced high-level Zhenwu in Heishan City. Even if there were some who had hidden strength, the total number would be less than 40. Li Songjing suspected that practicing the second level was enough to rank in the top 20, which means that his strength at this time is definitely within the top 20 in Heishan City. After all, in terms of the quality of Zhenwu alone, the Red Tiger Fist is higher than the Sky Eagle Claw, even in Heishan City. It is one of the strongest high-level Zhenwu. Closing the book, he looked at Mengyan. Let's go. Pinkangfang, Chaofeng Tower. Uncle, come and play. Brother, where are you going? Come in. Qin Jiang looked across the road. This is a brothel, and it is also the place where his sister Qin Hong disappeared. It is said to be haunted. His sister disappeared when she came here to investigate. Chaofeng Tower. You know how to name it. Boss, you don't know, this Chaofeng Tower was not originally called Chaofeng Tower. It was changed to this name after it was bought by a mysterious person last year. Mengyan said on the side, with some regret in his eyes. Originally, this place was just an ordinary brothel. After it was bought, it was rebuilt and renamed, and it suddenly became the largest place of love in Pinkangfang. A small gang leader like him can only come here once or twice a month. Is that so? Did anything strange happen here before my sister disappeared? Qin Jiang asked, his hand gently resting on the handle of the black water knife at his waist. Mengyan thought for a moment. No, that's not the case. However, since the name was changed, people have been trafficked here. No one cares. Qin Jiang was a little surprised. So blatant. They are all foreigners who are sold. Who would care? Besides, the silver and money handed in here are not small, comparable to half of an ordinary market. Mengyan was also a little surprised, as if he didn't expect Qin Jiang to ask this. Is that so? Qin Jiang nodded slightly. Let's go in and take a look. The two crossed the street and came to the opposite side. Before they got close, they saw the girl outside the door waving with a handkerchief. Mr. Meng. Mr. Meng. The girl in the pink skirt was young and beautiful. With sincere joy, walking closer, the pink-skirted girl directly embraced Mengyan's arm. Master Meng, why haven't you come to see Yuner for so long? The green-skirted girl with him also directly embraced Qin Jiang's arm. Master Meng, where did you bring this boy from? He is so handsome. Yuner is so happy to see him. The tender touch made Mengyan reluctant to push Yuner away, but after looking at the expressionless Qin Jiang, he still patted Yuner and stopped Yuner at the same time. No, 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 this is my boss, he is here for business. Hurry up and call the madam over. Mengyan said. Yuner nodded with a hint of grievance, while Yuner snorted and turned to go inside. Mengyan looked at Qin Jiang with an apologetic face. Boss, don't be angry, Yuner and Yuner are both prostitutes, they sell art but not their bodies, they are both good girls. Qin Jiang glanced at him and nodded slightly, and when no one came out after waiting for a while, he walked straight inside. As soon as I came in, I smelled the scent of rouge and powder. Observing the surroundings, the girls in the lobby on the first floor were all in love, leaning on the guests' arms, and looked quite honest. Opposite the door was a staircase leading to the second floor. Yuner, who had just come in, was walking down with a woman who looked about 30 years old. The visitor was wearing a black semi-transparent skirt, revealing her spring light, and holding a hollow black bone fan in her hand. Her face was full of mature breath, with light rouge and powder applied, and she was quite pretty. Sir, are you looking for me? She walked down and looked at Qin Jiang. The black cloth did not make her look down on her. Who are you? Qin Jiang asked. The smile of the woman in the black skirt froze, and Yuner, who was beside her, quickly took the woman's arm, looked at Qin Jiang and explained, this is our mother, Aunt Lan. Aunt Lan opened the fan to cover half of her face. Just as she was about to say something, Mengyan outside came in with Yuner in his arms. Old madam, our boss is here to investigate the missing case. Chapter 42. The Liu Village, Strange Corpse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing the word old madam, Aunt Lan's eyes narrowed with a smile. It's Master Meng, but I haven't been here for some time. Yuner misses you very much. Mengyan was stunned, feeling a little panicked for no reason, and looked away from Yuner's chest. The moment I saw Aunt Lan, I was shocked. Oops, I didn't pay attention and said the wrong thing. The old madam of Chaofeng Tower is not a good one. He was transferred from outside by the one behind Chaofeng Tower. He is very capable. It is said that he is very powerful, but no one has ever seen it, because before that, someone will help this person solve his trouble. Oh, Aunt Lon. Are you there too? How are you doing lately? Mengen laughed hard and looked at Qin Jiang for help. Qin Jiang shook his head. Stop acting poor. He looked at Aunt Lon. I am Qin Heng's younger brother, take me to see where my sister disappeared. Aunt Lon glanced at Qin Jiang when she heard this. Are you Qin Heng's younger brother? Then come with me. With that said, she turned around and walked inside, twisting her waist, and Qin Jiang followed. At the door, Yun'er approached Mengen slightly. Master, who is this person? Mengen squeezed Yun'er gently. The new big boss of our 6th hall will be the deacon in a short time, do you understand? He had heard that the boss was not only a second-rate master, but also favored by Elder Chen and the gang leader. The reason why he is the big boss is just a formality before becoming a deacon. If he can get close to this thigh, maybe when the boss becomes a deacon, he can also become the big boss. Yun'er opened her mouth in surprise. She is the big boss at such a young age. And will soon be a deacon. I understand, that she quickly said that people like them usually only come into contact with the highest level of deacons. As for higher ones, it's not that there aren't any, but usually when people like that are in need, Chaofeng will send them to others, and rarely come in person. Several people came to the backyard of Chaofeng Tower. The backyard was very large, even larger than the main body of Chaofeng Tower. There are several courtyards on both sides of an aisle, which looks almost like an ordinary alley. After passing through several small courtyards, they came to a locked courtyard. This is it. It was originally a place for girls to live, but after something like this happened, no one can live in it anymore. Aunt Lon said with some pity, then walked to the courtyard door, took out the key and opened the lock. Zikwa she opened the door and said, Brother, we don't dare to go in. You can go and see for yourself. The room where the accident happened is the one on the right in the back. Qin Jiang nodded slightly and walked directly into the courtyard. A chill spread, as if he had walked into autumn. Looking towards the yard, there are about 4 or 5 houses on both sides, connected together, and the size is somewhat like the back garden of a large family. There is a well in the center of the yard, and there are 2 basins of unwashed clothes beside the well. It seems that when it was haunted, they ran out without having time to clean up. Looking at the innermost room on the right, there is a large black locust tree planted between it and the opposite room. It looks like the one in the Heishan. He pressed the handle of the knife and walked over, gently opening the door. A scent of rouge rushed into your nose. Looking at the environment inside the house, it is beautifully displayed and divided into 3 rooms on the left, middle and right with wooden window panels. There is a door on both sides of the middle room for entry and exit. Facing the innermost position of the door, there is a bronze mirror, reflecting Qin Jiang's figure. The room on the left is used for dressing, while the right side has only a small bed with neatly spread quilts. Boss, did you find anything? Mengen's voice suddenly sounded behind him. Qin Jiang turned around and saw the man standing by the door with only his head exposed, shaking his head. Not yet. After saying that, he walked to the bedroom on the right, and after a while he looked to the left, somewhat disappointedly. He walked to the yard and went straight to the other rooms. After a while, after checking the house, he came to the well again. The cool water vapor slightly relieved the irritability in his heart. Leaning against the well, he thought for a moment and then looked at Mengen. How did my sister disappear? Mengen thought for a moment. Sister Qin actually didn't find anything wrong that day, and then she said she was staying here for one night, but she disappeared the next day. We also searched, and there was no sign of a fight. Is it possible that he went out? Qin Jiang asked. Mengen shook his head. This is impossible. More than 20 of our brothers surrounded this place that night. No matter whether we were entering or leaving, we would be discovered. Who was there on the day of the haunting? Qin Jiang asked. Mengen was silent when he heard this, and then slowly shook his head. The few who were there that day were all dead the next day. They're all dead. How did they die? Qin Jiang stood up straight and frowned. After sleeping one night, they all died the next day. There were no injuries when they died. and they still had a smile on their faces. It was very weird. Mengen said that he had been on tenterhooks these past few days, fearing that he might not wake up one day, but fortunately, it seems that there is no problem now. Qin Jiang looked around. Ever since he came in, he felt a vague and cold aura, but he couldn't find the source, as if it was separated by a layer of glass. Boss, just as he was thinking, a person suddenly ran in from outside the courtyard gate. Qin Jiang looked over and saw that it was Tian Shangfei, another little leader under him. Boss. Elder Chen said that more than a dozen people died in Liu Village outside the city last night. He asked you to investigate. Tian Shangfei was breathing heavily, obviously running in a hurry. Walk. Qin Jiang left quickly and looked at Aunt Lan when he reached the courtyard gate. The courtyard is sealed, don't let anyone in. After that, he left directly, followed closely by Tian Shangfei and Mengen. After the three of them left, Aunt Lan gently opened the folding fan with a smile in her eyes. He was really an interesting guy. Pity. Tread. 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 Heavy hoofbeats hit the ground, and a dozen black horses moved quickly along the country road. Drop. How far away? Qin Jiang blew the whistle in his mouth. This was the whistle communication within the Red Tiger gang. This was what Lu Xuanwu used when he called Chaofeng that night. He also spent a lot of effort to learn it reluctantly. 3 miles, just turn around and you'll be there. Tian Shangfei blew the whistle. Not long after, a group of people arrived at the entrance of a village, where an old man in grey cloth and several middle-aged men were already waiting. Stopping the horse, Qin Jiang turned over and dismounted. The old man and several middle-aged men hurriedly gathered around him. Sir. You are finally here. Tian Shangfei walked up to him and said, Boss, this is the village leader of Liu Village, Lu Guanyi. Qin Jiang nodded. Where is the body? In the village, sir, please come with me. Muramasa bowed slightly and his attitude was very low, because the person in charge of their village's taxation was Tian Shangfei, and Tian Shangfei was obviously his subordinate, and they were not someone they could afford to offend. Lao Meng, bring a few people here to watch the horses. Qin Jiang ordered. Following Cunzhen, I walked into the village. The village was built on a hill. After walking for almost half a quarter of an hour, I came to an open space. At the edge of the open space is a stone mill used to crush beans. It is as big as a person hugging him and weighs at least 300 to 500 kilograms. At this time, many villagers had gathered outside the open space, talking in small groups. There was a row of corpses in the center, covered with white cloth. At a glance, there were almost 20 people. Look, my lord, this is it, Muramasa said. Qin Jiang walked up to a corpse and lifted up the white cloth. What he saw was a face filled with fear, eyes wide open and mouth wide open. He covered them with white cloth and looked at the other corpses. Without exception, they all had faces full of horror. What happened last night? Where have they been? He looked at Muramasa. They are all miners in the mines on the mountain. We went to the mine together last night. Muramasa said hesitantly, there are many hills in the south direction of Heishan City, and there are also many mineral veins. Many villages rely on the mineral veins to gather. Is anyone still alive? Qin Jiang asked. Muramasa nodded repeatedly, yes, yes. There is still a living person. As he said that, he turned to look at the middle-aged men following him. Bring them here. Immediately, the two people left and walked towards a certain house in the village. After a while, the two men dragged a man over with an iron chain. His hair was disheveled, his face was blackened by mine ash, his linen clothes were in tatters, and there were blood stains on his arms and legs. Chapter 43. I am not an unreasonable person. Please read it tomorrow. Thank you all. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's going on? Why is it locked? Qin Jiang frowned slightly and asked slowly. Sir, this guy became crazy after he came out of the mine. We were afraid of him running around, so we had to lock him up, Muramasa said. Crazy? Didn't you see a doctor? Qin Jiang asked. Muramesa's eyes dodged when he heard this. There is no doctor in this village. Qin Jiang nodded and glanced at the chained man. Old Tian, go see what's going on and ask what happened in the mine. Yes, boss. Tian Shangfei waved his hand and walked over with 4 ordinary gang members. Hey, are you still alive? Leave a message if you are alive. The 2 gang members directly lifted the chained man's arms and made him kneel on the ground. Tian Shangfei patted his face. The chained man woke up, looked at everyone with blurred vision, and immediately laughed. Ha 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 ha. Die. You all have to die. Die. Ha ha ha. Crack. With a crisp sound, Tian Shangfei slapped the chained man in the face, and his laughter stopped abruptly. Mad. Wake up for me. See clearly who I am. He grabbed the chained man's hair and shouted. Hee hee. Hee hee hee. Die. Everyone must die. Everyone must die. The chained man lowered his head and screamed strangely, his face alternately crying and laughing. Fuck you, Madu. Pretend to be stupid for me. Tian Shangfei's eyes widened and he raised his foot to kick him. The next moment, Qin Jiang appeared beside him, turning his palm to suppress his raised leg. Boss? Tian Shangfei was stunned and said with some confusion. Take off the chain, take him down and wash him, and prepare some food for him. Qin Jiang said. Tian Shangfei nodded. Hey, let's do it. As he said that, he looked at Muramesa and said, prepare a yard. Hey, okay, boss Tian, please come over here. Don't call me boss. This is the boss. He doesn't have eyesight. After a few people left, Qin Jiang glanced around, and the villagers were also looking at him. He waved his hand, and a gang disciple came closer. Go find Lao Meng and ask him to check the details of these miners and come back soon. I know, boss, I'll go right away. After a while, Tian Shangfei and Muramesa came back. Boss, it's okay. I'll let the 4 brothers watch. They will never run away. Tian Shangfei said. Qin Jiang nodded slightly and looked at Muramesa. Munjing, take care of the villagers and don't let people go out. Let's go to the mine to have a look. Hearing the word mine, the villagers' expression changed. No, sir. That mine is an ominous place. Look at these miners, they are too dangerous. If you make a mistake, little old man I can't bear it. Qin Jiang immediately laughed when he heard this. Don't worry Muramesa, that miner can come back, and of course I won't have any problems. After saying that, he looked at Tian Shangfei. Do you know the place? Tian Shangfei nodded. Let's go, lead the way. By the way, Muramesa should come too. After a while, everyone came to a mine. Muramesa was still trying to stop him, but was pushed aside by 2 gang members. Qin Jiang looked at the sealed mine and said, Old Tian. Tian Shangfei came over and said, What's wrong, boss? Do you know that miner? Qin Jiang asked. Tian Shangfei was stunned. I know him. He is quite famous. He always made trouble in the past. I heard he is from outside. Okay, dig out the hole. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. Okay, I'll do it right now. Tian Shangfei said. After digging for about half an hour and advancing almost 5 to 6 meters, the entrance to the mine was still not cleared. Tian Shangfei frowned and walked towards Muramesa with a bit of anger. Old man Liu. You are so idle. Where are you blocking me? I don't know, please find someone to dig together. Muramesa took a half step back in fear. Boss Tian, I wasn't there when the mine was closed. I don't know how deep the blockage was. Why don't we stop digging? If something like a ghost comes out again, the little old man can't afford it. You said you won't dig anymore. Find someone quickly. If you dare to say no again, I will double my tax at the end of the year. Tian Shangfei grabbed Muramesa's collar and said fiercely. Old Tian, violence can't solve the problem. Qin Jiang came over and patted Tian Shangfei's arm, and Tian Shangfei immediately let go of his hand. Okay Muramesa, go call someone. Qin Jiang said. Muramasa straightened his buttons, swallowed, and left quickly. Boss, are you so gentle to them? These guys are just a bunch of unruly people. They bully the weak and fear the strong. If you treat them well, they will only take advantage of you. Tian Shangfei said. Qin Jiang nodded, said nothing, and turned to look at the grass behind. Come out, we've followed you all the way, there's no one else here now. Tian Shangfei was stunned for a moment, turned to look at the grass, walked directly over, and walked out with a half-sized boy in one hand. Hey, good boy. Are you very good? Tian Shangfei threw him to the ground casually, and it seemed that he knew him. Qin Jiang looked at this boy. He looked about 13 or 14 years old and was wearing rags. It would be an exaggeration to call him a beggar. Who is this? He asked. Ergo, as everyone calls him, is a beggar from here. Tian Shangfei said. Don't hit me. Sir. I know how those miners died. Ergo said quickly. You know. Why don't you tell me quickly? Tian Shangfei was surprised at first, and then said eagerly. It's Zheng Diyu's wife who is seeking revenge. Ergo sniffed and said seriously. Who is Zheng Diyu? Qin Jiang asked. It's that miner. Tian Shangfei explained from the side. Qin Jiang nodded and looked at Ergo. What should I say? Zheng Diyu was always bullied by people in this village when he was mining here, but he is a foreigner and the others in the mining team are basically from the same village, so he never dared to resist. Later, Muramasa said that Zheng Diyu had borrowed money from him when hosting a banquet and refused to repay him. Then people in the village began to say that Zheng Diyu's wife was stealing. In the end, his wife was forced to death and hanged in this mine. Ergo said. Tian Shangfei's eyes widened. Did he die in the mine? That he looked at the mine, hesitant to dig, but Qin Jiang hadn't said anything yet, so he didn't dare to say anything. Qin Jiang looked towards the mine and narrowed his eyes slightly. Keep digging, he said. Not long after, Muramasa led a group of villagers over, but they didn't hold any tools in their hands. Sir. I beg you, little old man, to stop digging. You are trying to wipe out our Liu village. After Muramasa arrived with his people, he knelt on the ground and started wailing. Yes. Sir. You can't care whether we live or die. We came to you to solve problems. Not to cause trouble. Yes, yes. If you do this again, we are going to sue the official. Sue the official. Qin Jiang looked at these shouting villagers with cold eyes. Boom. The fierce black and red evil energy flowed out like falling clouds, spreading tens of meters in an instant. The terrifying aura made the villagers dare not move, and it was difficult to breathe. The sky, which was originally bright and sunny, could not feel the slightest warmth at this moment. Who has an opinion? The voice had a vibrato, as if it was torturing everyone's souls. Tread. Tian Shangfei rushed out of the mine, and then saw Qin Jiang's appearance at this moment, standing in the black and red evil aura as if he was trying to choose someone to eat. Chi Red Tiger Fist. He stammered, his eyes filled with disbelief. The boss has already mastered Red Tiger Fist. How many days has it been? More perverted than Sister Qin. Qin Jiang turned to look at him. In Tian Shangfei's field of vision, he looked back like a terrifying black and red tiger, his eyes like blood. Do you have any objections? Tian Shangfei jumped up and stood up straight. No. Boss. Go dig now. After saying that, he picked up the shovel and ran into the mine. Qin Jiang turned around and glanced at the villagers. If you have any opinions, you can say that I am not an unreasonable person. Chapter 44, Mine Cave, Female Corpse. Please read on. Thank you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The villagers were trembling with fear, and some of them couldn't even control their legs and sat down on the ground. After a while, no one spoke. Qin Jiang dispersed his evil spirit, and everyone collapsed on the ground, holding their chests and breathing heavily, looking at Qin Jiang with fear and panic. Master, said Muramasa. Qin Jiang looked over, his eyes turned cold, and Muramasa immediately lowered his head and dared not speak again. About half an hour later, Tian Shangfei and a group of gang disciples walked out of the mine, carrying shovels and dusty faces. "Boss, we dug through." Tian Shangfei patted the dust on his body and walked to Qin Jiang's side, a little cautious. "Red Tiger Fist, that's Red Tiger Fist. After practicing Red Tiger Fist, you are qualified to compete for the position of Hall Master. Moreover, in the current 6th Hall, the other deacon has not yet practiced Red Tiger Fist. After becoming the boss, he is likely to be the next head of the 6th Hall, the new 6th Master." Qin Jiang took a look at the mine, which was nearly 20 meters deep. The mine tunnel inside was dark because there was no light. He narrowed his eyes slightly. If he looked at it this way, it might not be the person who died last night. It was not that he looked down on these villagers. It was impossible for them to block the mine tunnel so deep in one night. Was it premeditated? What's the benefit? Prepare some torches, he said. Tian Shangfei nodded and turned away. Not long after, he prepared the torches, but Qin Jiang did not rush in. Instead, he asked him to build a shed to make a fire and cook. The curling smoke rose, and just like that, a group of people from the Red Tiger gang sat in the shed to eat, watching the villagers outside the shed feel the warmth of the sun. Muramasa looked at the mine from time to time, and used the action of wiping sweat to hide his eyes from Qin Jiang. "Village chief, are we just going to watch?" A tall villager asked in a low voice. Murama looked unkind and shouted in a low voice, "Then what do you say we should do?" "Village chief, you don't want to pay, right? It was your son who caused this incident. Don't think that your son will be fine after entering the city." That the tall villager was a little unhappy. The old man promised him 10 taels of silver and asked him to call people to seal the mine, but he hasn't paid it yet. "Okay. I know. Don't say it." Trample, tap, tap. A burst of rapid horse hoof sounds came, and a black shadow ran up the mountain quickly, jumped over the place where the villagers gathered, and stepped heavily in front of the shed where Qin Jiang and others were. "Boss! I brought the things." Mengyan jumped off the black horse directly, walked quickly to Qin Jiang, and handed him a piece of paper. As he said, he looked at the gathering place of the villagers with disgust. Qin Jiang put down the pancake in his hand, took the paper, and looked at the information written on it. After a while, he put down the pancake in his hand. "Let's go, light the torch and go into the cave." Everyone stood up, and the villagers not far away quickly surrounded them. "Sir! It's dangerous." Muramasa stood in front of everyone and opened his arms. Tian Shangfei went over and kicked him down. "Get out of the way, old man. Don't get in the way here." "Old Tian, don't be so violent, just watch them here, don't get in my way," Qin Jiang said. After that, he called Mengyan to go in together. After leaving 10 people outside, Qin Jiang led the rest into the mine. As soon as he entered the mine, he felt that the air around him instantly became much cooler. Mengyan couldn't help rubbing his arms, and the goosebumps slowly disappeared. "Let's go, brothers," but he waved his hand and led people to lead the way. After walking about 100 meters, they finally saw a faint light. Everyone sped up and soon came to an empty cave. There was a natural hole on the top, with a diameter of no more than 2 meters, and the faint light was shining from above. At this time, they all stood there in a daze, staring at a certain position in the cave without saying a word. Qin Jiang approached and looked at a corner of the cave, only to see a woman in a red wedding dress hanging there in a disheveled state. Her neck was tilted, her hair was disheveled, covering her face, and the skin. Exposed outside was a faint dark blue. Looking at the hanged woman, he sighed slightly. His eyes were cold. "Put her down and bury her well." After saying that, everyone was motionless. Qin Jiang looked over with some doubts, and could only see everyone's profile. With a smile on their lips, the black and red evil spirit dissipated, and everyone came back to their senses and looked at Qin Jiang. Mengyan was stunned. Such a heavy evil spirit. Is it the Red Tiger Fist? The boss has mastered the Red Tiger Fist. Wow! Is this still a human? Qin Jiang looked at everyone. "What are you laughing at?" Hearing this, everyone was a little confused and looked at other people, then turned their heads and smiled strangely. "No, I'm not laughing." Qin Jiang looked at the scene in front of him and felt cold in his heart. He drew out the black water from his waist and saw his face clearly through the narrow blade, like everyone else, with a strange smile. Fuck. All get out. Retreat. Quick, he roared, and the heavy evil spirit gushed directly into the cave, flooding the cave. Seeing this, Mengyan did not hesitate and led everyone to run out of the mine. Qin Jiang walked slowly behind everyone, looking at himself in the black water, and couldn't help but smile. Don't say it, it's really beautiful when you smile. Mengyan led everyone out of the mine, and the black and red evil energy behind them gradually poured out of the mine. Tap tap tap. Tian Shangfei looked at this scene, and before he had time to ask anything, he heard crisp footsteps. Qin Jiang was seen walking out slowly with a horizontal knife in his hand, black and red evil energy floating behind him, like an evil ghost walking out of hell. Why is the boss so evil? He looked at Qin Jiang in shock. Not even Elder Chen had such strong evil aura. Muramasa stood there, staring blankly at Qin Jiang, who was walking towards him, his body trembling, and he did not dare to speak. Finally, Qin Jiang walked in front of him. He tried his best to force out a painful smile. Your Excellency. Before he could finish speaking, a huge force directly grabbed his hair, dragged his body to the ground, and headed towards the mine. He kicked the ground hard with his legs, and kept grabbing the arm holding his hair with both hands, but he couldn't break free at all, let alone stop Qin Jiang's steps. My lord! My lord! What are you going to do? Let go! My bones are going to break. Qin Jiang stopped, pulled Muramasa's hair with his left hand to turn his back to him, and put the black water in front of his throat with his right hand. Tell me, who is still alive who forced that woman to death? Muramasa shrank his neck and looked at the blade in front of his throat. The cold chill made his hair stand up. He had no doubt that this knife could easily cut off his head. Can. Sir, what are you talking about? I don't understand. He said with a trembling voice. Qin Jiang turned Muramasa's head, and his stiff neck creaked. The pain in his neck made the old Muramasa unconsciously twist his body and face Qin Jiang. At this moment, he really felt what oppression was. It was a terrible feeling that he could not control his life and death and could die at any time. If you don't tell me, you will die. Chapter 45. Then you can just die. Please read on. Thank you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Jiang's voice sounded in Muramasa's ears like a reminder, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. He swallowed hard. I really don't know, my lord, what are you talking about? Then you just go and die. Qin Jiang stood up, holding the black water in his right hand, and pulling Muramasa's hair with his left hand towards the mine. Muramasa kept struggling, scratching Qin Jiang's arm with his nails, but it seemed like scraping on an iron block. It had no effect at all, not even a scratch was left. You can't kill me. I am the village chief of Liu Village. I am the village chief recognized by the imperial court. You can't kill me. Please save me. He looked horrified and asked for help from the villagers who came with him, almost crying, but at this time, these villagers were all staring blankly on the spot, not daring to make any move at all. Qin Jiang threw Muramasa to the entrance of the mine. Muramasa rolled several times and lay on the ground, wailing from his mouth. Walking over and squatting down, Qin Jiang put the black water on Muramasa's neck and made a gesture. Now, let alone Muramasa, even if your entire village is gone, it's not a big deal. Just go with peace of mind. Wait. Me. I know, a person suddenly stood out from the crowd of villagers. It was the tall man who had just spoken to Muramasa. Qin Jiang stood up and walked directly in front of the tall man. His majestic body was half a head taller than the man, hiding the man in the shadow. You probably don't want to know the consequences of lying to me. The tall man's throat rolled. I don't dare. I don't dare. He looked panicked, and suddenly regretted standing up. If he had known better, he would not have needed those few taels of silver. Tell me what you know. Qin Jiang said. No. Lu Quan. You. Muramasa's shout stopped abruptly. He was hit by the evil spirit. Qin Jiang casually waved, and his body was thrown away. He fell to the ground and his life or death was unknown. The tall man's face was tense, and he was a little out of breath from the evil aura around Qin Jiang. He said bravely, "It's the village chief. Oh no, it's the Muramace's youngest son. His name is Liu Pingan, and he is the captain of the mining team in the village. Zheng Diyu got married that night, and he fell in love with the bride. If the bride doesn't want to, just what? Stop talking nonsense." Tian Shangfei walked over quickly and slapped Lu Quan on the face. Lu Quan covered his face, his eyes panicked. I say. The bride didn't want it, so Lu Pingyan asked the miners to steal the bride out, and then she died in turn. Lu Pingyan was afraid of causing trouble, so he arranged for a miner to take the blame for him if something happened, and he ran to the city to avoid the limelight. Qin Jiang narrowed his eyes slightly and glanced at the mine. In other words, she was not forced to death, but after she died, you spread rumors and made it look like she committed suicide. That when Lu Quan heard this, he waved his hands in horror. No. I didn't. There was no me. I only found out later, that I led people to block that mine. I didn't know anything at all at first, sir. Real. I don't, sir. I really don't. He fell to his knees directly, with snot and tears streaming down his face. It's so scary to stand with Qin Jiang. It's like his head will be chopped off at any time. Fuck. It turns out it was you bitch who blocked it. Tian Shangfei kicked Lu Quan in the face, leaving a black shoe mark. Okay, Lao Tian, don't beat me to death. Qin Jiang said. Tian Shangfei glanced at Lu Quan hatefully. Yes, boss. Lao Meng, go to the city to find Liu Pingan and bring him back before tomorrow night. Qin Jiang looked at Mengyan and said. Understood. Don't worry, boss. No need for tomorrow night. Lao Meng, will definitely catch him before tonight. Mengyan said, patting his chest. After he left with a few gang members, Tian Shangfei looked at Qin Jiang. Boss, what should we do with the remaining troublemakers? Do we need to teach them a lesson? No need, leave 10 brothers to watch them, and the rest will follow me to the village to see Zheng Diyu. Qin Jiang said. Okay. Brothers. Watch carefully. Tian Shangfei shouted to the gang. After speaking, he picked out a few people and walked with him and Qin Jiang towards the village. Back in the village, the corpses were still lying in the open space, and several villagers covered them with mats to prevent them from being exposed to too much sun. After all, some of them are their relatives and the breadwinners of their families. Sir. How is your investigation going? You must avenge my son. An old woman came over wiping her tears, followed by a woman holding a baby. Behind them, a group of villagers were following. Most of them were old, weak, sick and disabled, and they were basically family members of the dead miners. Qin Jiang's eyes moved slightly and he said nothing after a moment of silence. Go. Don't get in the way. Your Excellency is busy investigating. Tian Shangfei stepped forward and the crowd dispersed. Let's go and have a look at Zheng Diyu's place, Qin Jiang said. Hey, the yard is over there. Tian Shangfei pointed to the distance, and several people were heading there. Lao Tian, please give some money to the miners' families. If you have children at home, give more. Halfway through, Qin Jiang suddenly spoke. Tian Shangfei was stunned. Boss, those guys are all. Qin Jiang raised his hand slightly and shook his head. Not everyone should die. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'll get ready later. Tian Shangfei said helplessly. After a while, several people came to the yard where Zheng Diyu was recovering from his injuries. Several gang members were guarding the door, and Qin Jiang and Tian Shangfei walked into the yard. He looked around and said, the environment is not bad. Let's stay here tonight. Hee, that's right, old man Liu doesn't dare to play tricks on me. Tian Shangfei said with a smile. When I walked into the house, the furniture on display was relatively clean, but a little old. Zheng Diyu was sitting on the bed in the back room. There were 2 bowls in front of the bed. One bowl was gruel, and the other bowl was also gruel. You guy, why don't you eat the food I gave you? Tian Shangfei walked over, picked up a bowl of gruel and drank it. It's too cold and I don't know how to cherish food. Qin Jiang waved his hand and signaled Tian Shangfei to go out. Tian Shangfei looked at the other bowl with porridge, ate it all in one gulp, and took out both bowls. Boss, if you need anything, just call me. I'll be waiting outside the door. After he left, Qin Jiang stood in front of the bed. The matter has almost been investigated. Don't worry, I will give you and your wife justice. Zheng Diyu shrank his head and looked at Qin Jiang with disbelief in his eyes. You are all your own people helping your own people. You don't care about me, a foreigner. Qin Jiang frowned slightly. I'm not from the Liu Village. You don't have to lie to me. You can't lie to me. You guys don't have any good stuff. Zheng Diyu's head twitched unconsciously, but his eyes did not leave Qin Jiang for half a second. Believe it or not, a wave of unknown anger surged up. Qin Jiang pressed his forehead and said impatiently. Zheng Diyu said nothing. Qin Jiang frowned and raised his head slightly, only to see that Zheng Diyu had passed out with a strange smile on his face. Chapter 47 You Too Must Die. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As he said that, Mengan kicked the figure on the head with his feet, and the figure let out a painful cry. Tian Shangfei quickly came over to stop him. Hey, hey, hey. Lao Meng. Lao Meng. Don't get killed. The boss is still useful. You can do it again when you're done with it. I have a torture tool from China that I got from a merchant. It's very useful. Let's have fun together then. Mengan reacted and quickly clasped his fists at Qin Jiang. Boss, I kept this bitch busy all night, and I couldn't control it, otherwise I would have come back last night. Speaking of this, he was a little annoyed. It was all because of this piece of shit that he couldn't earn face in front of the boss. He was guaranteed to come back last night. Qin Jiang smiled and looked at the figure on the ground. His nose was bruised, his face was swollen, his jaw was half broken, and all his teeth were about to fall out. He turned around and waved to Zheng Diyu. Zheng Diyu came over and gritted his teeth as he looked at the figure on the ground. His eyes were bloodshot and he wanted to eat this guy alive. Did you see it clearly? Is it Liu Pinyin? Qin Jiang asked. Zheng Diyu stared at the figure, his teeth trembling uncontrollably. Yes. I will never forget him even if I am a ghost. That's good. Qin Jiang looked at the many villagers and said, everyone is here today. Let's go to the mine together as a witness. After saying that, he directly grabbed the hemp rope that tied Liu Pinyin and dragged it towards the mine. After a while, the villagers from Liu Village and some villagers from nearby villages followed them to the mine. The villagers who had made trouble with Muramasa yesterday were sitting on the same spot. They didn't close their eyes all night last night. Whenever they wanted to sleep, they would be woken up by the disciples of the Red Tiger Gang. Muramasa sat on the ground with his body hunched, his head stretched forward, and his thin body, making him look like a vulture. Qin Jiang didn't waste any time. He directly pumped out the black water and dragged Liu Pinyin towards the mine. Muramasa looked at Qin Jiang's figure, his eyes fell on the tied figure in his hands, and he immediately recognized that it was his son. My lord! My lord! What are you going to do? What are you going to do? He screamed in horror, got up with difficulty, and rushed towards Qin Jiang. Bang! A member of the Red Tiger Gang raised his leg and kicked him directly to the ground. Mater. Be honest, he was also one of the gang members who followed Qin Jiang into the cave yesterday, and he had long been impressed by Qin Jiang's terrifying evil aura. Qin Jiang turned around, hit his head with the handle of the black water knife, and walked to the front of the village. I forgot about you, you can join me. After dragging the two people into the mine, a biting chill surged out, much stronger than yesterday. Even the gang members guarding outside the mine had goosebumps uncontrollably. Mengan rubbed his arms and looked inside the mine with some worry. Qin Jiang's figure had walked into the darkness. Nothing will happen to the boss, right? Tian Shangfei glared. What nonsense are you talking about? Even if something happens to the two of us from the outside, nothing will happen if the boss is inside. Mengan nodded in agreement. That's true. However, I am designated to be more resistant than you. You see, after the boss becomes the sixth master, I am designated to be the big boss. Fart. Can you become the boss? Then I will be the butler. Inside the cave, Qin Jiang dragged the two of them towards the inside. The further inside, the more fierce the struggle became for the two of them. He didn't intimidate the two of them with his evil aura. Overall, he quite liked watching people struggle. My lord. My lord. I did it all. I did it all. Don't kill Pinyin. Don't kill him. I did it all. Muramasa was dragged to the ground, holding back the pain and clasping his hands towards Qin Jiang. Liu Pinyin on the other side had also woken up a long time ago. He opened and closed his mouth and uttered vague words, kneel down, kneel down. It's my father who did it. It's my father who did it. Although it's not very clear, you can understand what it means. When Muramasa heard what Liu Pinyin said, his face turned pale, as if he had lost all his vitality in an instant. He nodded feebly. Yes, it was the little old man who did it. Sir, please spare Pingyin's life. Qin Jiang smiled, raised his hand and threw the two of them directly under the female corpse. Ah! Ah! Liu Pinyin glanced at the female body in wedding clothes, and immediately twisted her body in horror, but could not move at all. Muramasa looked at Liu Pingyin's ugly appearance and closed his eyes as if resigned to his fate. His heart felt calm, but he only regretted not smearing this thing on the wall in the first place. Sir, everything was arranged by the little old man. It was the little old man named Lard who was blindfolded and did such a thing. You want to kill or behead him, it's up to you. Qin Jiang smiled and said, Old Muramasa, you misunderstood. I don't care whether you or your son did it. Today, both of you will die. As the saying goes, the debts of the father and the sons must repay the debts of the father, which is reasonable and reasonable. Words with a hint of laughter rang in Muramasa's ears, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Sir, before he could finish half of the sentence, a chill went through his throat, and then he pulled out suddenly, splattering blood. When Liu Pinyin saw this, before he could react, he felt a chill in his throat, and then his vision began to be covered with a layer of black mist. Stab. Qin Jiang tore off half of Liu Pingyin's cloth and casually wiped away the blood on the Heishui blade. Take a deep breath. It's normal to feel dizzy. It will subside after a while. After a while, the two stopped moving, and a layer of black mist gradually spread around them. In just a few breaths, the black mist was evaporated by the beam of light cast from above the mine. Looking at the bodies of the two people, they were already shriveled up. Shaking his head, he walked out of the mine, and Mengyan and Tian Shangfei immediately surrounded him. Boss! Are you okay? Boss! Is everything okay? Qin Jiang was slightly startled and looked at the two people in front of him. This worried look was not fake. What can happen to me? Contain the bodies inside. Muramasa and his son were burned, and Zheng Diyu and his wife were buried alive. Hey! Got it. Wait a minute. Don't take my job. Moments later, the body was burned, creating a large cloud of smoke. Some of the surrounding villagers applauded, and some even set off firecrackers. These people are basically all with foreign surnames and have long been fed up with the oppression of the Muramasa family. The corpse was burned until almost noon. Mengyan came over with a meat pie and a water bag. Boss, eat some. I brought this from the old Zhang's shop in the city. It's delicious. Qin Jiang took the meat pie and water bag. After practicing Red Tiger Fist to the second level, his body's demand for energy increased a lot, causing his food intake to increase greatly. Boss, when are we going back? Mengyan asked. Qin Jiang glanced at him and said with a smile, Why, do you miss your Yuner? No, no, no. We, Lao Meng, don't have that intention. It's not like Lao Tian. Mengyan quickly waved his hand to deny it. Stay for another 2 days and make sure nothing happens before going back. Qin Jiang said. Hey, okay. 2 days later, Qin Jiang was doing the Red Tiger Fist in the yard, and an illusory red tiger shadow gradually solidified behind him. Looking at the panel. Current martial arts. 5 Qigong of immortality, second level, 22400, iron arm fist, perfect, earth dragon body, second layer, 170/300, red tiger fist, level 2, 50/900. Potential points, 13.8. In just 3 to 5 days, his red tiger fist experience value increased by 40 points. At this rate, even if you practice on your own, it will only take 3 or 4 months to reach the third level of red tiger fist. Facts have proved that as long as his nutrition keeps up, his martial arts talent is not bad, and he can even be regarded as a genius. After thinking for a moment, he made up his mind to add a third layer after he went back today and solved the problem of the red tiger fist being too evil. Anyway, he has already shown part of his strength. When he returns, he will not mention the hall master directly, at least he will not be able to escape the position of deacon. After that, you can start sweeping away potential points. For the Red Tiger Gang, it is not difficult to collect some ancient objects, and no one will stop the Red Tiger Gang because of this. Tap tap tap. Boss. Something happened. Zheng Diyu's wife's grave was dug up. Mengan hurried into the yard. Qin Jiang frowned when he heard this, and an uncontrollable anger surged in his heart. He picked up the black water on the side and said, "Let's go. Let me see which bitch with no eyes is it." Chapter 48. Whoever stops me will be chopped off. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two left the yard, performed footwork, and quickly came to a cemetery outside the Liu Village. Tian Shangfei led a group of Red Tiger Gang members to surround the villagers. On the other side, a new grave was dug, and Zheng Diyu was sitting on the ground holding the female corpse. Qin Jiang came closer, and he hugged Qin Jiang's thigh and cried bitterly, "Sir! Sir! Why do they treat us like this? Just because we are from other families?" Qin Jiang frowned. "Let go." The black and red evil spirit naturally burst out, and Zheng Diyu was frightened and let go of his hand directly, his throat rolling, and he dared not do anything else. Qin Jiang ignored him and walked straight to the group of villagers. "Who did it?" His voice was calm, but the black and red evil spirit flowing around him showed that he was not so calm at the moment, more like a volcano about to erupt. A group of villagers were silent for a moment, and a shirtless young man came out. He had a well-proportioned figure, tan skin, and a hoe in his hand. "Sir, this woman is a disaster to the village, and she has turned into a corpse. She must be dug out and burned." 4 or 5 people followed him. They were all young people of the Liu family in the village. They usually worked in the city and were called back yesterday afternoon. "Yes, sir. She must be burned." "That's right. Why can we, the Liu family, bury her in peace after we burn her? She must be burned." Qin Jiang looked at the people in front of him with impatience on his face. "I'm really tired of living." Clang! He took out the black water and held it in his hand. The cold blade flashed with cold light, and the evil spirit around him spread, and the temperature around him dropped a few degrees. A terrifying tiger evil fist was pressed down unscrupulously, and everyone present felt dizzy. The shirtless young man in the lead was the one who received the most punches. He shuddered and almost fell down. He quickly clenched the hoe in his hand to hold himself up. He already regretted it a little. If he had known, he would not have coveted the 20 taels of silver from Muramesa's family. He originally had no intention of coming back. Whether someone died in the village had nothing to do with him, but the Liu family held a clan meeting yesterday. Muramesa's eldest son was not there. Whoever could dig up the woman's grave could get the 20 taels of silver from Muramesa's family. He couldn't help it either. He couldn't save 20 taels of silver in 2 years in the city. He looked at Qin Jiang. The black and red evil spirit formed a giant tiger behind him, as if it was going to choose someone to eat the next moment. He swallowed his saliva, looked at Qin Jiang tremblingly, and pleaded with a bit of hope, "Sir, it's just digging up an outsider's grave. It's not a capital crime, right?" Qin Jiang was stunned when he heard this, and then he knocked his forehead with the handle of the black water knife in annoyance, and the tiger-shaped murderous aura behind him disappeared. He looked up at the young men and the villagers behind them. He waved his hand. "Forget it, chop off their hands, it's not necessary to kill them all. Yes. Boss. Mengen responded loudly, and directly drew the big knife from his waist and walked forward. The young men on the opposite side changed their expressions. It was just digging a grave. You have to chop off their hands. Sir, calm down. Sir, calm down. They are still young and ignorant. They are ignorant. Yes, sir. How can you chop off your hands just like that? It's too domineering. Yes, yes, yes. We don't agree, but some villagers behind the young men stood up. Most of them were relatives of these young men, and they were pulled together to strengthen their momentum. Mengen frowned. He was mainly responsible for the city, unlike Tian Shangfei who often dealt with these villagers. Get out of here. He shouted, but the villagers tried to stop him, showing no sign of giving in. Whoever stops me will be chopped off together. Qin Jiang said. After that, Mengen no longer hesitated, and directly chopped off half of the palm of a middle-aged man in front of him. Ah! Dad! A young man rushed over and hugged the middle-aged man, tearing off a piece of cloth and tightly tightening his wrist. All of you get out of here. This is the consequence if you don't. Mengen shouted. The villagers who were surrounding him retreated one after another, and only the families of those young men did not retreat. You! Why do you do that? My dad didn't do anything. Why do you do that? Report to the authorities. I'm going to report to the authorities in the city. Let the masters punish you, that the young man shouted while bandaging the wound, his eyes filled with grief and fear. Qin Jiang tilted his head slightly, and the corners of his mouth curled up unconsciously. You can try, chop off your hands, you can still live. Report to the authorities, I will protect your whole family. The young man was stunned on the spot. Not only him, but also the villagers behind him were stunned, looking at Qin Jiang with fear. The adults who came before, no matter what they did, at least they had a legitimate reason, but this one dared to be so overbearing. He wanted to kill people at every turn. Mengen was also slightly surprised. Although gang disciples like them did not value human life very much, they were still more or less afraid of the laws of Daxia. On the other hand, Tian Shangfei did not react much. In his eyes, these unruly people were like grass, and they would grow again after being cut. He was not surprised by Qin Jiang's performance. He had seen it a long time ago. Although the boss was usually gentle and humble, anyone who dared to block the way would have to die. This was also the reason why he followed the boss wholeheartedly. If you don't quickly cling to someone who has strength, potential, and courage, wouldn't you be a fool if you don't do that? Old Meng, get started. When you're done, don't forget to bandage them and find a doctor to prescribe some tonics. I'll pay for it. After saying that, Qin Jiang glanced at Jingdiyu, then turned to look at Tian Shangfei. Help me bury them again. Understood, boss. I'll get a new coffin right away. Qin Jiang nodded and turned away. In the afternoon, Tian Shangfei came to the yard covered in mud. After waiting for a while, Qin Jiang stood up with his fists closed and adjusted his breath slightly. Is everything done? He asked. It's all done. Old Tian has stopped the bleeding for them and has also gone to the city to invite a doctor. Tian Shangfei said. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. Okay, let's do this. Tian Shangfei didn't say anything. After a while, he asked, Boss, are we going back to the city today? Go back to the city. Qin Jiang shook his head. Let's go back tomorrow. There's a good show tonight. Tian Shangfei was confused. Good show? What good show? Boss, did you ask old Tian to invite a troupe? You're too nice to Jingdiyu, aren't you? Qin Jiang looked at him in surprise. What's the connection? Forget it, you won't understand even if I tell you. Let the brothers cheer up tonight. In the house, no matter what you hear, you are not allowed to go out. Including you and old Tian. Tian Shangfei tilted his head. Although he didn't understand what it meant, he still agreed, I understand. I just brought Pai Gao. Boss, do you want to play with me tonight? Qin Jiang thought about it and nodded, okay. Boss. Boss, Mang Yan's voice sounded outside the yard, and the next moment he walked in directly, followed by an old man. Qin Jiang looked up, his pupils shrank slightly, and he walked quickly to meet him. Mang Yan looked at Qin Jiang, who was walking over with some surprise. What is the boss doing? Is he going to greet me specially? Unconsciously, he slightly opened his arms. Qin Jiang walked closer, skipped him and walked behind him, and said in surprise, "Old doctor, why are you here?" Chapter 49. Of course, I'll send you off. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Jiang reacted, Oh, Lao Tian has actually invited you here. Sit down and have a rest. The two of them walked to the stone table in the yard and sat down. Meng Yan stood there and stared blankly. He rolled his eyes and silently sat down with Tian Shangfei. After chatting for a while, Qin Jiang took a sip of tea and said, "Old doctor, would you like to move to the inner city? I will find a place in Xiaofeng to open a medical clinic for you." The old doctor smiled and shook his head. "No need, there are more people in the outer city who need me. Just like today, if I were in the inner city, I wouldn't be able to come here." After saying that, he looked at Meng Yan and said, "By the way, in addition to the golden sore medicine, there is also a medicine for internal use. It is best to drink it before tonight." Meng Yan nodded. "Okay, don't worry, I will get it back before tonight." The old doctor nodded and sighed slightly. "I don't know why I was injured so badly. Both hands were broken. I'm afraid it will be difficult to make a living in the future." Hearing this, Qin Jiang picked up the cup on the table, steaming from it, covering his face. "It's not difficult to make a living. There are many things you can do without using your hands." "Hey! It's my fault. I had prepared a batch of farm tools with good intentions, but who would have thought that they would start fighting over it? Those farm tools were really sharp, and unexpectedly they cut off their hands." With a look of regret and a bit of self-blame, Tian Shangfei twisted Meng Yan's thigh with his hands. Meng Yan reacted immediately. Yes. It's all Lao Tian's fault. He does bad things with good intentions." "Yes. That's it," that the old doctor sighed after hearing this, picked up the teacup and took a sip. "So that's how it is, it really shouldn't be." After saying that, he stood up and said, "Since there's nothing else, I'll go back first." Qin Jiang stood up and said goodbye. "Okay, I'll find a good place for you first. If you want to go to the inner city one day, you can find me by just looking for a disciple of the Red Tiger Gang." It was night, in a compound near the edge of Liu Village. Qin Jiang and a group of Red Tiger Gang members pushed Pai Gao in the room. There was a fire in the center of the spacious room, and a large iron pot with a diameter of more than 2 meters was held on wooden sticks. The rich aroma of meat comes from the pot, mixed with the unique smell of spices. "Lao Meng, go see how the cooking is going," Qin Jiang said. Meng Yan put down the pipe in his hand, walked to the pot, picked up the shovel and turned over it. "Not yet, boss. The meat of these 2 old black pigs is not easy to stew. It will probably take half an hour." Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. Just as he was speaking, there was a rapid knock on the door outside the house, no, outside the yard, and someone could vaguely hear anxious shouting. Meng Yan put down the shovel and looked through the door in the direction of the courtyard door. "Boss, are we?" Qin Jiang shook his head. "Ignore it." As he spoke, he raised his palm slightly, and a black and red evil spirit fell under the big iron pot. "Call." The fire surged instantly, but was restrained at the bottom of the pot by the evil spirit. After a while, the sound of gurgling continued in the iron pot, and the rich aroma of meat came out, and the aroma of spices was also stimulated. "Let's eat and play later." Qin Jiang dropped the Pai Gao in his hand and said, "Ah!" Poof! 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 A series of frightened shouts came from outside the yard, accompanied by a deep roar, as if something was hitting something. Meng Yan paused for a moment, and then called for someone to bring a bowl to fill the meat. Qin Jiang stood up and opened the door, and a cool breeze came in. In summer, the night breeze is undoubtedly wonderful. "Boss, your meat." Mengan came over and put down a basin as big as one person could hug it. Inside were 2 complete pig hind legs and 4 kidneys. Qin Jiang nodded, his hands wrapped in evil spirits, and he picked up a pig leg and gnawed it, chewing and swallowing the bones together. After a while, the screams outside the yard gradually faded away, and Qin Jiang also picked up a basin and drank the gravy. "Boss, it's cold at night." Tian Shangfei came over and took out a black cloak and put it on him. Qin Jiang looked at the cloak in surprise. "Where did it come from?" "It's Elder Chen. He already knows that you, boss, have mastered the red tiger fist. This cloak is not embroidered with the red tiger mark. Only those in the gang who have mastered the red tiger fist are eligible to wear it," Tian Shangfei said. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. In fact, at his current state, he was immune to the cold and heat. However, it was a person with good intentions after all. Tightening his collar, he quietly looked at the sky, where dark clouds obscured the moonlight and stars. Early the next morning, there was an open space in Liu Village. A group of villagers gathered around the open space, looking at Zhengdiu in the center of the open space with horror. At this time, his face was ashen, and he was holding a wooden box in his hand to collect the ashes on the ground. "Get out of the way. Move out of the way quickly." That the disciples of the Red Tiger gang pushed away the villagers to form a path, and Qin Jiang walked into the open space. "Boss, I heard that this guy's wife turned into a corpse last night, and then killed many people in the village. When the sun came up during the day, she turned into ashes." Tian Shangfei whispered behind him. Qin Jiang nodded and walked closer to help collect the ashes. Potential points are being absorbed. 0.10.1. Potential points, 14.3. In just half a breath, the potential points are absorbed. He looked at the ashes on the ground with some surprise. Are the feelings so deep? Before, he had tried many so-called love tokens when he was in the pawn shop, and not surprisingly, none of them contained potential points. Maybe he looked in the wrong place. If he had deep feelings, he wouldn't take it to a pawn shop. "If you can't stay here any longer, you can go to the city with me and join the Red Tiger gang," he said. Zhengdiu shook his head and collected the ashes carefully. "No, sir, I want to stay in the village and guard my wife's grave." Tian Shangfei behind Qin Jiang couldn't understand. "Don't you know what's good and what's good? What's so good about this poor village?" Qin Jiang shook his head, waved his hand with evil energy, and put all the ashes into the box. He stood up and placed his palm on the handle of the knife. "Isn't that enough? It's really troublesome for you to be like this. Am I giving you too much face?" Zhengdiu stood up with a blank look. "Sir, what do you mean?" Qin Jiang didn't answer, and said to himself, "Actually, before, I always thought Wei Wei didn't have much self-awareness, now it seems that is not the case." Zheng. The blade trembled and slashed across Zhengdiu's neck. That the blood spattered, with a light black color, and fell on Qin Jiang's clothes, making a rustling sound. In the blink of an eye, Qin Jiang's entire top was corroded cleanly, revealing his muscular upper body. Boom boom, Zhengdiu's head fell to the ground and rolled 2 or 3 meters away. Hiss. Tian Shangfei stared at Qin Jiang and the falling head with wide eyes. There is clearly a dazed smile on that head. "How do you know?" The head on the ground said with a smile. The headless body in front of Qin Jiang walked over and gently picked up the head and placed it on his neck. Qin Jiang waved his hand, and Tian Shangfei's body was swept backwards by the evil spirit. Looking at Zhengdiu, Zhengdiu's skin turned blue-black at this time, and his eyes turned into black holes. "At the beginning, you didn't eat the meal prepared for you. But at that time, I didn't actually suspect anything. I just felt that you couldn't eat it." As he spoke, Qin Jiang gently stroked away the blood on the blade. The blood that could corrode his clothes could not cause any harm to him. "Later you passed out, and when I slapped you awake I felt something was wrong, but I just thought you had Yin Qi entering your body, until that night, after you gave me the silver hairpin and left. The next morning I found that there were only my and Lao Tian's footprints on the layer of ash outside the door. At this time, I thought you might be weird. Finally, I was asked to confirm your identity. Guess what?" Speaking of this, Qin Jiang waved the black water, twisted his wrist and looked at Zhengdiu. Zhengdiu held the urn and thought slightly. "What is it?" You shouldn't have let them dig up your wife's body. You forgot that the strange blood in your heart is black. Qin Jiang said with a smile. Zheng Diyu stood there, surrounded by black energy. He was silent for a long time before speaking. Since you know that I am weird, what do you mean by asking me to join the Red Tiger gang? Qin Jiang tilted his head slightly and couldn't help but laugh. How interesting. You don't really believe it, do you? Of course I plan to send you on your way back. Chapter 50 Tiger Killing Pill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing this, Zheng Diyu's face became cold, and the black aura spread, causing the surrounding air to drop a few degrees. If that's the case, then just die with them. That the black air suddenly erupted, and the black water in Qin Jiang's hand pointed at the ground. Swish. The black and red sword light flashed, and the surging black air flow stopped abruptly. The majestic black and red evil energy swallowed up the black air flow in the blink of an eye. Swing the knife, shock the blood, and sheath the knife. Qin Jiang stood behind Zheng Diyu and turned around slowly, with a bit of confusion in his eyes. When he just swung the sword, he didn't notice the slightest resistance. Zheng Diyu turned around, his empty eyes turning and becoming clear. Thank you, my lord. As soon as he finished speaking, a gust of cool wind blew by, and his body turned into black mist and disappeared. Taking the urn with him, Tian Shangfei came over and put a black cloak on Qin Jiang. It's night. Xiaoshenfang, Anxin Villa. Qin Jiang was sitting in the pavilion in the courtyard, looking up at the bright moon in the sky with deep eyes. After practicing the red tiger fist, he became a little swollen. Instead of killing Zheng Diyu immediately after confirming that he was weird, he actually explained how he found out. The most important thing is that he felt compassion, which was not advisable for him now. The moonlight shone into his eyes, and he raised his hand slightly, as if to hold the moon in his palm, looking at the panel. Current martial arts. 5 Qigong of Immortality, second level, 220/400, Iron Arm Fist, perfect, Earth Dragon Body, second layer, 170/300, Red Tiger Fist, level 2, 50/900. Potential points, 14.3, the potential points are enough to advance to the third level of Red Tiger Fist. In the past few days, he has gradually learned to control the evil energy in his body. However, occasionally I still can't control myself and have that violent emotion. Wait until I meet the gang leader tomorrow to see if there is a solution. If not, maybe I can find another mind-cultivating technique to practice at the same time. The next day, Qin Jiang and Lu Xuanwu sat opposite each other at the headquarters of the Red Tiger gang in Kaimingfang. Today, after Qin Jiang got up, he came directly to the headquarters and asked Lu Xuanwu about the meaning of the Red Tiger Fist and Tiger Evil. Lu Xuanwu had already made tea, and seemed to know that Qin Jiang would be eager to come over today. Actually, I'm surprised that you were able to practice the Red Tiger Fist completely on your own strength. Lu Xuanwu poured a cup of tea for Qin Jiang, and then took a sip from the teacup in front of him. Qin Jiang looked confused. What does this mean? If you don't practice Red Tiger Fist on your own, do you have to rely on some external object? Lu Xuanwu nodded matter-of-factly. You may not know that the Red Tiger Fist we practice is different from ordinary high-level true martial arts, and will produce extremely strong evil spirits during practice. Although this evil spirit is very powerful, it can also affect the practitioner's sanity. Therefore, in the practice of Red Tiger Fist, you need to use Tiger Evil Pill to calm down the evil spirit. Only in this way can you get started with the practice of Red Tiger Fist. If not, the evil spirit will be injected into the body, which can lead to the person being possessed by evil spirits or becoming possessed by evil spirits, or the person may die and disappear in the worst case. Moreover, even after you have started practicing cultivation, you cannot do without this Tiger Evil Pill. You need to take one every once in a while, otherwise you will be in danger of the evil spirit getting out of control. I think you should have understood this. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. I feel a little bad. Lu Xuanwu smiled, with a bit of relief in his eyes. The reason why I didn't hand over this Tiger Evil Pill to you at the beginning was because I wanted to see how far you could withstand the evil energy on your own, but I never thought that you gave me a big surprise. Apart from your sister, you are the second person I have ever seen who can practice Red Tiger Fist without relying on the Tiger Evil Pill. Gang leader, it's a medicine that contains 3 parts of poison. If you take this tiger evil pill for a long time, won't erysipelas accumulate in your body? Qin Jiang asked. Erysipelas is a secondary concern, mainly because he believes that relying on external substances such as elixirs to maintain martial arts practice is not the right path. Liu Xuanwu smiled, took out a palm-sized cloth bag from his arms and handed it to Qin Jiang. Qin Jiang opened the bag and found 7 or 8 translucent blood-red elixirs inside. There was a mist-like fluid inside the elixirs. You are right. All medicines are toxic, and the erysipelas in the tiger evil pill can stimulate evil spirits and increase the risk of losing control. Therefore, when taking the tiger evil pill, you need to find a quiet place to refine it. Generally speaking, 1 piece of this tiger evil pill can be eaten in about a month. If you can't get started within 3 years, the accumulation of erysipelas will be like a barrel of explosives. In this case, you can no longer practice the red tiger fist. If you practice it forcefully, it will only destroy the spirit and cause death. And if you master the tiger evil fist intention, you can use the fist intention to expel the erysipelas from the body. Although it cannot be exhausted, it will not have much impact. Liu Xuanwu said. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. He always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't explain it. Okay, these tiger evil pills are enough for you for half a year. When you use them up, just go directly to the medicine pavilion next to the martial pavilion to get them. Speaking of this, Liu Xuanwu paused for a moment and then said, there is one more thing I want to tell you. A deacon from the 4th hall has also practiced red tiger fist. I don't know if you want to be the 6th master or the 4th master. Qin Jiang's eyes changed slightly when he heard this. Of course it's 4th master. Liu Xuanwu was not surprised. His junior brother was the 4th master, and Qin Jiang's sister was also competing against the 4th master. In that case, I want to merge the 4th hall and the 6th hall into one. If you want to take over, you will need to fight with him. The winner will be the new 4th master of my Red Tiger gang. Qin Jiang nodded. I understand. The new 4th master Nye Dongsheng, Cultivation Square, Anqin Villa. Ha 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 ha. Congratulations. It seems that it won't be long before I call you the 4th master. Chaofeng laughed. He had known that the gang leader intended to merge the 4th hall and the 6th hall. The original best candidate was Qin Hong, but Qin Hong suddenly disappeared. In fact, he also knew that the so-called disappearance was just an excuse. Basically, she was dead. That's why it was a bargain for him and Nye Dongsheng, because according to the gang rules, elders cannot directly participate in gang management. They can only receive dividends distributed according to the proportion every year. Although it is not small, it is much less than the income of directly managing a hall. There is no way around it. You can't let these old guys occupy the position and prevent the younger generation from taking the position, right? The key to a gang is the interests. There is no respect for the old and love for the young. Without sufficient interests, who would join a gang? Moreover, do you really think that these elders want to give up their positions? It is because the gang leader is forcing them. This is also the reason why there has been no one in the position of the leader of the gang. Only those who can suppress all those who are dissatisfied in the gang are qualified to sit on the position of the leader. The inheritance of the position of the leader of the Red Tiger gang has never been based on any empty ceremony of passing on the position, but purely on strength. If no one can do this, the position of the leader will remain suspended until the powerful person comes to take it. Qin Jiang smiled when he heard this. Elder Chen, you are too polite. What is the matter with you coming to see me this time? Chaofeng nodded. It's not a big deal. I just want to tell you that you are now a deacon. You can take care of the big bosses under you. In addition, there is another small matter. The 100 acres of land outside the west of the city died overnight. You can take some time to check it out. After all, 30% of the taxes there are from our Red Tiger gang. Outside the west of the city. Qin Jiang seemed to remember something and asked, does the 100 acres of fertile land belong to the Su family? Chaofeng looked at Qin Jiang in surprise. West of the city, including the land outside the west of the city, is there any piece of land that is not owned by the Su family? Qin Jiang nodded. Okay, I'll go there tomorrow. Well, that's good, I'll leave if there's nothing else. After Chaofeng left, Qin Jiang called Mengyan. "Old Meng, how much monthly salary can I get after I am promoted to deacon?"